Morning, everybody. Isn't it a good morning? Yeah. All right. Joni and Mark, why don't you come on up here and we'll give your grandkids a view of you guys on TV. Thank you for being here today, both of you. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to talk a little bit this morning about the status of the road improvements at the corner of 14th and Old Cheney and other streets in addition, as they all come together there in that key place in the city in South Lincoln. I asked you here today basically to comment on a discussion that was elevated by City Council member Cindy Lamb when she put forth a budget amendment that she offered at the City Council meeting last Monday. A couple of Southwest Lincoln citizens are here to share their views as well. Joni Mueller, did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
From the Salt Valley View Neighborhood Association, Mark Jeter from the Far South Neighborhood Association. And then up front here, of course, you know Mickey Esposito, and you've been exposed to Lonnie Birkeland, both, of course, from the leadership of our Public Works Department. Our
Transportation and Utilities,
department.
coming soon.
Right. So I want to thank everyone for being here today to contribute to the discussion of this matter. The proposal is to delay the 14th and Old Cheney project for at least 5 years with the possibility of even reevaluating the need for it. That delay proposal is costly, is short-sighted, and it will not prepare Lincoln for future growth. It will greatly exacerbate a growing traffic congestion problem in an area while denying the opportunity to increase safety. If the proposal is successful, it would add another $8 million in costs to the project. The recommendation also appears to be based on information that does not exist. We've had a long-standing congestion issue in this area. Over the last 10 years, Lincoln's explosive growth in the southwest area has resulted in over 40,000 cars per day traveling through the 14th and Old Cheney intersection area. Those who drive there know how often traffic backs up, and it's getting worse. Private sector traffic studies show that even with the opening of the South Beltway, we can expect a 40% increase in traffic over the next 25 years. Traffic projections indicate that more than 65,000 cars will be squeezing into that intersection that was not designed to handle nearly that load. If the project is delayed, people who drive through this area will spend far more time in traffic and less time with their families or at work. This is also a serious public safety issue. The current intersections no longer satisfy urban design standards. In the last 5 years, more than 170 crashes have occurred in this area. The project enhances safety at all 7 intersections and more than 7 lane miles of new road. It will cut the chances of crashes in half, reducing, of course, then the potential for injury and fatalities. With Southwest High School just down the street, it is imperative that this key intersection be made as safe as possible. The delay proposal is a tremendous waste of money. Construction inflation is averaging 5% annually. Right now, the project is estimated to cost $30 million. A delay of 5 years will add $8 million to the project's cost. That's $8 million that could be spent elsewhere. In short, the proposal increases traffic problems, delays safety improvements, and wastes money. And this proposal is based on non-existent information. The media was told that a state of Nebraska traffic study showed that the 14th and Old Cheney Improvement Project will be unnecessary once the South Beltway is open. The problem is that that study does not exist. There is not such a study. The public was then asked to adopt a wait-and-see attitude rather than basing our traffic safety and congestion issues on scientific data and modeling. Finally, the delay plan is unfair to citizens in that area of town. The long-range transportation plan is our community planning guide. It is developed with input from the community, by the community, input from planning experts and traffic analysts. We carefully review the plan to create a balanced proposal that serves our community growth needs around the city and ensures all areas of the city are treated fairly. Our city is growing in all directions. The major project over the last 2 years was Northwest 48th Street in the northwest part of town. In the near future, money will be saved to begin the $80 million improvement to 33rd and Cornhusker and Adams area in northeast Lincoln. Southeast Lincoln has seen major improvements at Yankee Hill Road, for example, and other roads. Now it is Southwest Lincoln's turn. The project has been 20 years in the making, and it is, I would argue, unfair to shift these funds to other projects and other parts of the community at this time. Past state and city leaders promised this improvement to Southwest Lincoln residents and businesses. It has been approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council. It has been in our CIP for years. We've been saving to fund this for years. It is simply not acceptable at this time not to keep that promise. So let me be clear. I have no intention of breaking that promise, and I don't think other council members do either. The proposal to delay or even suspend 14th and Old Cheney project is a serious attack on our responsibility as a city to deliver safer, less congested streets to Lincoln residents generally and businesses as cost effectively as possible. It doesn't make sense for Lincoln, and I urge the City Council to reject Ms. Lamb's plan if it is brought before them in the coming weeks as we deal with the budget. I suggest that we do not stand in the way of growth and progress. So with that, I would invite Joni Mueller from, again, the Salt Valley View Neighborhood Association. Please.
Hi, as you said, my name is Joni Mueller. I have lived down on Old Cheney for 21 years, and I've been a stakeholder on the committee to work on this roundabout or oval about, whatever you want to call it. So I've had my input put in there for safety and for bicyclists and just to help with transportation. Living there, I've watched it get worse every year, and this is even not during rush hour now, where Warlick and Old Cheney and 14th are so congested because the traffic signals so close to each other, and everybody wants to take a right on 14th from Old Cheney, and they can't do it. The intersection is blocked because people want to get through. They've been sitting there too long, and so I believe that this roundabout will help Southwest Lincoln. It'll turn my neighborhood, because I live down on 710, where it's a two-lane road, turn that back into a residential the way that it should have been. We had parking on that street when I first moved there. Now there's no parking, and speed limit's supposed to be 35, but yeah, you know, you gotta watch out when you pull out of your driveway. So I'm just here to support the mayor and the council members that agree with that, and the council already voted on this a couple years ago, so they should follow through with this. Thank you.
Mark?
Hello, I'm Mark Jeter. I live in Thunderbird Estates. I've lived there for, 25 years or so. And if you've ever gone north on 14th Street during rush hour time, it's really something. You got to wait for several light changes before you can go north. The traffic backs up for several blocks. Thank goodness I'm retired now and I don't have to fight that myself. But on occasions, I do have to go through there at rush hour and other times. It seems like after spending all these years and all this money to delay a project like this would not be worthwhile. It'd be a waste of money. Let's face it, it takes money to improve the roads, and to delay this, to me, would be ridiculous. So that's the few comments that I have, and that's all.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
I know Mickey wants to make a few comments and
Yes.
to
I sure do.
point out some information.
Yes, so thank you, Mayor, and thank you for being here, Joni and Mark, today. There's a couple of business owners who could not make it today, and they wanted me to actually read a portion of their statements. The first one is from Jamie Dietering of Fiserv. It's a statement. He's said, for the safety and convenience of our employees, Fiserv strongly supports improving the intersection as soon as possible. We appreciate the city's efforts to communicate with our company through the design process. That's again from Jamie Dietering of Fiserv. A little bit longer statement is from Dave Olson of Kensington Corporation, and if you remember Dave, he is the developer on the northeast corner and wants some certainty about the project so that he can be assured that he can develop his parcel of land there. He's been involved in this process since 2005, so he has really stepped through this process historically and feels very passionate. Some of the statements he's made in his letter, and I think the media got a copy of, through regular meetings over several years, the Warlick team clearly laid out the challenges and goals of the project and included all the stakeholders in these regular meetings to welcome input and help make the project the best it could be. He says, it was time well spent, as I believe there were several suggestions at those meetings that were incorporated into the final design. And experiencing the process firsthand over the course of the last 5 years, I have developed an appreciation for the time and effort that the city and their design team has put into making sure this project is the best possible solution for the intersection. He goes on to say, I couldn't imagine another intersection design undergoing more scrutiny or having more time invested into the design than this one. And the time to move ahead with all of those years of hard work is now. You have the rest of the statement if you wish to quote anything else, but he is a strong supporter of moving ahead with the current design and utilizing the many years of work to put put this intersection into place. to make it safer and more efficient. From the department standpoint, let me just say, we have already spent $3 million in good faith on this investment. So irrespective of even an $8 million cost to delay, we have already invested in this project. And that investment stems from solid planning and technical justification for the project. We feel strongly this is a promise, 2 decades in the making, that we've made to the community for more safety, more mobility, and less congestion, and the project also supports our future growth. And the department feels strongly that it wants to keep this promise. All right, thank you so much. Mayor?
Okay. And at this point, we'll open it up to questions.
Maybe Lonnie could tell us simply what the department studies show, and if there's any way to read it as having less traffic on any of those legs of that
Should I
intersection.
share
That's
the
fine.
VMT statement?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Unless it's just pure bureaucratic gobbledygook.
It's not. It's not.
Otherwise, you can use your own words, they're usually much better.
We were, as a team, we were equally concerned about a reference to a study that might show that Warlick wasn't needed if the South Beltway was built. That has never been something that we've come across. Traffic volumes with or without the South Beltway increase, and that's the cut and dried statement that we have with respect to all these years of planning. So when the statement was made, we reached out to NDOT, and I heard from them, and they have stated there's nothing with respect to the Beltway that you could interpolate that decreases, reduces, or even eliminates the volumes at 14th and Old Cheney. I've asked for the study being referenced. We would love to be able to analyze that study if that's something that is being misinterpreted. We would love to help bring more light, shed more light to the interpretation.
You guys talked about cost that you guys have already put in. Can you talk to me about how much you put into it and what have you already gotten done in this project?
Yeah.
So Mickey referenced kind of the previous dollars spent to date of the 3 million. If you can remember back to some of the design competition, actually even some concepts and design work that was done in the early 2000s with some consulting assistance before the design competition. There were dollars invested at that time to sort of come up with what's the best mousetrap, good design that would improve safety and operations down here. There were several iterations of that, and then we kind of stepped forward to the design competition, which is a lot of the information that's on the website with the project. And that was a few years ago where, again, we wanted to really come up with a creative and a good solution that worked for the community. And so that was the vision then, and the tack that was used was to enter that design competition. Since that time, the community and leaders have recommended a solution, and so we stepped forward yet again with the design consultant and the project team where we're at now to do final conceptual, preliminary, final design, cost estimating, and so all of that rolled up and together is where we're at today.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's a great song.
I don't normally do that. I want everyone to know that.
All right, she rocks.
So that effort today is what's been that expenditure of the 3 million referenced.
Lonnie, could you state your name and title just so they can get this for their report?
Sure, Lonnie Birkland, Assistant Director of Transportation. Anything else?
Anyone else got a question?
All right, you good to
Okay.
go? Thank you very much.
Thank you.